May 8th, 1970, Willis Reed lips out of the tunnel at Madison Square Garden on a torn thigh muscle, hits his first 2 shots, and the Knicks win their first championship in franchise history. 3 years later, they win another one. Then the city waits. It waits through Gerald Ford, it waits through disco, through the crack epidemic, through 9/11, through 5 different presidents, through multiple iPhones, and an entire Patrick Ewing career. 53 years, 19,300 and some odd days, the longest active championship drought in the NBA, until June 2026. This is the story of every gut punch, every botch pick, and every cursed franchise decision that filled the gap between banners. To understand the drought, you have to understand what came before it. The 1973 Knicks weren't just champions, they were the standard. 5 Hall of Famers, a coach in Red Holtzman who turned defense into like a religion, Walt Frazier in the most beautiful suit ever stitched, Earl the Pearl, Bill Bradley. The Knicks were the mecca of the NBA. That team beat the Lakers in 5 games in the finals. Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, Gail Goodrich beat them in LA, closing the series on the road like it was a Tuesday. New York basketball at that moment was the center of basketball universe. The Garden was the mecca, the Knicks were royalty, and then the bill came due. By 1977, Reed was retired. Frazier had been shipped to Cleveland for Jim Clemens in one of the most disrespectful trades the franchise ever made, and Dave DeBusschere was in the front office. Bradley was running for Senate. The dynasty didn't decline, it evaporated, and the Knicks made a decision in those years that would echo for decades. Instead of rebuilding through the draft, they tried to buy their way back. And that single instinct, chase the star, skip the patience, it became the operating philosophy of the next half century. But before you get to that damage, you have to understand, there were moments, real ones, times when New York thought that wait was finally over. In 1984, Bernard King averaged 32.9 points. He led the league. He was the most unstoppable mid-range scorer in basketball. He had 50 points back-to-back nights in San Antonio and Dallas, and the Garden was electric again. Then on March 23, 1985, his knee folded in Kansas City. He tore his ACL, and in that era before, the modern reconstruction surgery, that injury was almost like a death sentence for a start. 2 months later, the NBA holds the first ever lottery. The Knicks land Patrick Ewing. Conspiracy theorists still swear they see that envelope corner bent on the broadcast tape. True or not, Ewing was supposed to be the savior, and for 15 years he tried. 2 finals appearances, 1994 against the Rockets, 1999 against the Spurs, both lost, both haunted. June 22nd, 1994, Game 7, NBA Finals, Houston. John Starks, the Knicks, their grit, their entire personality, the shooting guard goes 2 for 18 from the field, 0 for 11 from 3. Pat Riley never takes him out, never. The shot Starks needed to win the game gets swatted by Olajuwon in the final seconds. That game broke something in the franchise, a bone that never quite healed. Because here's the thing about the Knicks, every other franchise gets one Game 7 like that and learns from it. New York lived in it. The 8 seed Knicks somehow make the finals, the only 8 seed to ever do it in a full season, and Ewing tears his Achilles in the conference finals. They walk into San Antonio missing their franchise center and get swept aside by Duncan and Robinson. That was the moment. That was the last real shot the Ewing era Knicks ever had, and the front office responded by trading him. In September of 2000, the Knicks would trade Ewing to Seattle in a 4-team deal. The Knicks would get Glenn Rice, Luke Longley, Travis Knight, and some rotational picks. But they didn't just replace a star, they didn't just rebuild, they just kept spending on the wrong guys. And this is where the 53-year curse stops being bad luck and starts being a pattern. Let's talk about what actually happened. Not the vibes, the actual receipts, what really happened with the Knicks. Between 2001 and 2010, the Knicks finished in the top 3 in NBA payroll almost every single season. They paid the luxury tax 6 times. They were the most expensive losing team in modern American sports. Allen Houston got a 6-year, $100 million contract in 2001 and played 70 games over the last 4 of them. Stephon Marbury, Steve Francis, Eddie Curry, Jerome James got a 5-year deal off of 1 playoff series. Isiah Thomas ran basketball operations from 2003 to 2008. He drafted Channing Frye over Danny Granger. He drafted Ronaldo Balkman in the lottery. He traded multiple first-round picks for Marbury, then for Curry, and then for Francis. The Knicks finished his tenure with the worst record in the Eastern Conference in a sexual harassment lawsuit verdict that cost the Garden $11.6 million. And above all of it sat James Dolan, the owner who took over in 1999 and president over every single decision that followed. 4 playoff series wins in 22 years. Then came Carmelo. In 2011, New York mortgages its young core of Wilson Chandler, Danilo Gallinari, Raymond Felton, and Timothy Mozgov, plus a first-round pick to bring him home from Denver. 1 series win, 7 seasons. The 2013 team won 54 games and got bounced in the second round by Indiana. That was the peak. Then Phil Jackson showed up to run the franchise, drafted Kristaps Porzingis, and proceeded to publicly antagonize Carmelo Anthony out of town while running a triangle offense that nobody on the roster wanted to play. And it's not like the curse was just bad luck. Sometimes you have to look at the draft board. In 2017, the Knicks had the 8th pick. Phil Jackson was already on his way out the door. He was fired weeks later, but they let him make the call anyway. He chose Frank Ntilikina, a 19-year-old French guard who barely played professional basketball. The idea was a defensive stopper who developed into something. He never did. 5.5 points a game, 4 years, gone. Here's what hurts though. We all know Donovan Mitchell was sitting right there at pick 13, Bam Adebayo at pick 14, 2 future All-Stars, 2 franchise cornerstones, and the Knicks looked right past both of them. In 2018, the Knicks had the 9th pick, and this time, they actually worked out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They had him in the building, they saw what he could do, and they still picked Kevin Knox, because he was a big wing and he could shoot. Knox averaged 8 points a game, never cracked the starting lineup, bounced from the Hawks to the Pistons to the Blazers to Golden State. You probably forgot that Kevin Knox played in the NBA. The SGA, 2 picks later, MVP candidate, one of the best scorers in the league. Back-to-back drafts, back-to-back misses, and both times the right player was right there on the board. That's not bad luck. That's the Knicks. The Porzingis era ended with a torn ACL in February of 2018 and a trade to Dallas a year later for cap space. The cap space became Julius Randle. Decent, not really the savior New York really needed nor wanted. For 53 years, this franchise tried every shortcut, every veteran trade, every superstar swing, every coach, every team president, every offensive system you could think of, and none of it worked because they kept ignoring the only thing that ever has. Build through the draft, develop your young guys, and let a culture grow. So for New York fans, how did it finally end? The team that broke the curse didn't look like Ewing's Knicks. It didn't look like the Melo Knicks. It looked like the Red Holzman Knicks. A team built on a guard who fell in the draft, drafted, developed, paid, a center who plays defense like it's personal, wings who pass, a bench that actually subs in and, really plays together as a team. It looked, in other words, like a team. That's the lesson buried under 53 years of pain. The Knicks didn't have a curse, they had a philosophy problem. They thought the city deserved superstars. What the city deserved was patience. When ownership finally got out the way, when the front office stopped chasing names and started chasing fits, the drought ended in 5 years, not 50. Every kid born after the 1973 title became a parent before they saw another championship. That's a very wild sports stat. The Knicks didn't break a curse, they just broke all their bad habits. If you want more deep dives on the franchise mistakes nobody talks about, the trades, the contracts, the front office decisions that built and broke dynasties, subscribe to Bucket Hall and tell me in the comments which year of the drought hurt the most.